Every day, thousands of Comcast engineers and technologists like Oluseyi put people at the heart of everything they create.
Some of my favorite moments throughout my life are watching sports with my dad. Now I work at Comcast as part of the team that created our AI highlight technology, which uses AI to detect the major plays in a sports game.
And now, millions of sports fans will never miss a moment. Visit ComcastCorporation.com to learn more.
This podcast is sponsored by IQ Bar. Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a replenisher after a good workout? Or maybe some smooth, jitter-free energy? Try the IQ Bar Sampler Pack. Right now, get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. We've got plant protein bars for strength, mood-lifting hydration sticks, and brain-boosting coffee to keep you full and focused all day long. Meticulously formulated brain and body fuel in all our IQ Bar products. For all your daily needs, the Sampler Pack is the perfect place to start. Plus, everything's ultra clean, ultra functional, and ultra delicious. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20 to get 20% off all IQ Bar products plus free shipping. Again, go to eatiqbar.com and enter code BAR20.
Welcome back to Everyday Economics, the podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, CEO of the 501c3 nonprofit, nonpartisan Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics is a production of America's Talking Network, and you could subscribe to all of our podcasts at americastalking.com. To support Everyday Economics, please make a tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We're recording this episode on Monday, June 24th. And join me, as always, the great one, Dr. Orphe Divounguy, PhD economist. Dr. O, June is celebrated for many reasons. One, it is the unofficial/official start to summer. And, here in suburban Chicago, it actually has been summer-like. It's almost been like August for the last couple of weeks. It's been nice to be outside. I'd like to see maybe a little bit more rain come a little bit more frequently, but perhaps in lower dosages. We got absolutely trashed over the weekend with a deluge of rain. In between, it was just like in the 90s, like every single day. But June is also National Homeownership Month, which is probably a slightly less celebrated moment in time. And I thought you did a really terrific job in a post that you put together for LinkedIn on Sunday night to kind of pull out some of the trending data around the realities of homeownership. And let me start with the lead note that you had. And these are your words. The 30-year fixed mortgage rate is stuck above 7%, and only 1 in 7 families that do not own their own home can afford to take on a new mortgage in their local market. That is, that's pretty stark. You're talking about like 14% of Americans who want to buy a home have the ability to do that where they live. What should that number be, I mean, it shouldn't be 100%, right? I mean,
no, for sure. I mean, but the thing is, it's fallen so much in the last, remember, mortgage rates doubled, right? We had a couple of things happening. We had prices increasing like crazy during the pandemic. And then we had the doubling of mortgage rates. When you take those two things together, your monthly payment, if you're a new buyer out there, your monthly payment's gone up a lot.
Gosh, we talked about that last year. I mean, I think we did as an example, like a $400,000 home, which is pretty close to what the national average is right now, right? It's like $365,000 or $370,000 is the average price for a new home. And the amount of interest in your payment each month had gone up substantially, like $1,500 or something like that.
If you put down just 5%, right, on the typical home in the U.S. today, your monthly payment would be $2,500, $2,529. It's more than doubled. It's 110% higher than it was before the pandemic, right? And so there you go. So, I mean, and even at 20% down, you're still paying $1,900 a month, $1,931. And that's more than double since, relative to before the pandemic. So bottom line is this. It's gone up a lot, and incomes haven't. You know, you just have to, I mean, okay, fine. If you're invested and you took advantage of those gains in the stock market, yes. But the majority of Americans, you know, until recently, you know, were just earning a paycheck and their wages haven't gone up as fast, right? They haven't doubled since 2019. And so I think it squeezed a lot of people. And again, if you cannot afford, if you don't have a mom and dad that own a home, who have a ton of home equity, who can give you the money to go out and buy a home, to go out and put a down payment on a home, you're stuck. And sadly, there's a reason why less than half of Black Americans own their home, right? Black households own their home. They don't have access to the bank of mom and dad. And so unfortunately, many of them have been stuck renting. Then you look at you know, I looked at this data recently, 1 in 4 Black borrowers getting denied for a mortgage. And one of the reasons is the lack of credit history. And it's you know, sadly, you know, a lot of people are stuck renting forever and rent payments don't count into their credit history. I think that's really sad. I think we ought to do something about that. I'm glad to see that private sector companies, including Zillow, are doing something to make sure that rent payments are being recorded by the credit bureaus and count towards your credit. It should be that way. It should be by default. People pay their rents, they pay their phone bills on time and all this stuff, and that should count towards your credit history. So anyway, we've priced out a lot of families because, wait, it's not just the mortgage rates, because we don't build enough housing. You know, I joke around, but it's kind of serious that even if we came up to, even if tomorrow we said, hey, you know, we're going to give you all enough cash to go out and buy a house, there just wouldn't be enough house available for all the people that actually need a home.
Right. We're still, I mean, by your estimate, somewhere between 3 and 4 million homes short in the United States.
4.5 million in 2022. 4.5 million homes needed to be built. That number
continues to grow.
Right? It grows despite the increase. Look, I'll give you another point. In 2023, we built about 1.4 or 1.5 million homes, right? When you consider the gap the year before was 4.5 million, it's a drop in the bucket. And during that time, by the way, there's, you know, we got massive population growth, right? Remember I showed you that Congressional Budget Office estimate of immigration population growth, massive population growth due to immigration. Well, we got a lot more people that came in. So unless we hit the gas pedal on new construction, we're probably going to continue to fall short year after year. But look, let me add one more stat. To date, for the median income household to comfortably afford the typical U.S. home, they would need $128,000 down payment. Okay. It's a big chunk. It's $128,000. I mean, most of us don't have $128,000 lying around. You know, we got to think about, okay, moving some things around, right? If you can afford it. And for most people who are not heavily invested in the stock market, they just don't have that, right? So again, you know, big hurdle for many families, especially Black families, for the reasons I highlighted before, right? They don't have a lot of people with home equity, with a house already. You know, the research shows the children of those who own a home are more likely to own than those whose parents don't own a home. And part of it is because they get help from their parents to get that down payment, right? But okay, that's enough of the bad news. The good news is there are pockets of affordability across the country.
Let's talk about that. You know, you wrote, coastal markets have the lowest home ownership rates. There are pockets of affordability across the country. In 10 major metros, the typical home is affordable to a median income household with less than 20% down. In Austin, Jacksonville, Charlotte, and Raleigh, a median income household can still qualify for a conforming loan for the typical home with 20% down. On the other hand, high-income coastal markets with more building constraints are simply out of reach for most.
Yeah, totally. The Midwest markets, you got St. Louis, you got Pittsburgh, right? Those are places where you can still afford to buy. Your down payment doesn't have to be very high. in order to keep housing affordable. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
But if you want to live in Seattle or San Francisco,
if you want to live on the coast, it's just out of reach.
Or Boston or Miami, yeah, it's a lot tougher.
It's a lot tougher.
Any other thoughts on this, though?
No, that's it. That's all I got. Look, I got to say one thing, though. This issue, people like to pretend it's not there or like undermine this argument. Look, a lot needs to be done, but let's just start with zoning laws and all types of builder constraints. Let's just look at them carefully. I'm not saying to completely deregulate the whole thing. I'm saying let's actually sit down and consider what are the things that we're doing that are preventing housing from being built in those regions that need more housing, that desperately need more housing.
I think that that's fair. For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other high-quality podcasts at americastalking.com.
Hey there, it's Orphe Divounguy, the co-host of the Everyday Economics podcast. Exciting news! Check out my new weekly column at thecentersquare.com. Join me as I break down complex economic trends in a way that's easy to understand for everyone. Check out the column every week and stay informed about the economic forces shaping our world. Be sure to subscribe to the Everyday Economics podcast and visit thecentersquare.com today.